Going and
Ladies
going.
and ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Anson and Paul's big movie podcast. I'm Anson Chan,
I'm Paul Morgan.
and today we're doing a pretty informal podcast.
Yeah, we're doing a kind of a catch-up show.
Yeah. Note to our listeners, we are switching up the audio a little bit. We're trying a new program out, so that's pretty exciting.
Yeah. This program's called Discord.
Yep.
And
I know that other podcasts like the Co-optional Podcast, which is a video game podcast, uses Discord. And I think some other guys do too.
Yeah, so I want to real quick talk about something. You somehow landed yourself with the name Trump on Discord.
Isn't it great?
How'd you get that?
I think you can have multiple Trumps, honestly.
Oh, because of the numbers that they have on the end of it?
Yeah.
Okay.
So
I thought that was
originally,
just hilarious.
Yeah, with this picture, his just like happy ass face,
his smug smile.
It's just so happy. I don't remember why originally I picked Trump, but I didn't think I was going to be using this like. I was always like kind of against Discord because I didn't want to like switch from Skype. It was too inconvenient.
Oh,
but
gotcha.
then like everyone was using Discord for the games. I had to get into lobbies. I'm like, crap, I need a name. What's something funny and kind of like politically charged right now? I'll go for Trump.
Yeah.
And then so that was like a little gag for people like, oh, we're in the chat with Trump, and I'm like,
yeah,
hello everybody.
I remember when I used to play Counter-Strike a lot. Because in Steam, you can like change your display name and your email account still stays the same. I used to always change my name to like Dick Cheney and stuff in like big lobbies just so I could like be obnoxious.
Me and Matt Frege play Counter-Strike, and so when we did Counter-Strike together, I was Iron Chef Rokusaburo Michiba, and I still am.
Yes.
And then Matt Frege was his favorite celebrity chef, Gordon Ramsay.
Nice.
So,
I love Chef Ramsay, man.
Yeah. So we had that going for us.
I love watching Gordon Ramsay just shut people the heck down. He is so vicious.
What are you doing? You donkey! You cooked... Oh my god! You cooked all the fillets!
He's brutal, man. But the thing
so
is that
funny, though.
For some reason, it's okay that people are brutal when they just know their stuff really well. And he seems to obviously know what the heck he's doing. Like,
they say that America...
he had this video on YouTube that was like how to make a French scrambled egg. And I just tried it one day on a whim because I wanted to try something new in the kitchen. And I barely got his directions right, and it turned out amazing. I can only imagine how good his tastes.
Is that the one with like the cream? You whip in the cream and like pull it
you
off
put
the
like
heat?
a big freaking chunk of butter in with two eggs, and then a bunch of
Creme
heavy
fraiche.
cream, and then you just stir it on the highest heat you can muster, and just keep stirring until it gets real nice and fluffy, and it's so good.
I remember that one.
Oh man, yeah, that's a good one. I've been doing a lot of cooking since so for anyone listening, about midway through the podcast, like episode 5 or 6, I moved back in with my parents, and my dad is a master cook, so I've been spending a lot of time with him in the kitchen.
Dude, awesome.
Yeah, it's been a blast. He really just knows how to make a dish, man.
That's actually a really good skill, because right now you're in the food service industry, correct?
Yeah.
So that's something you definitely take with you to other jobs. Like, I have kitchen experience, or like if you ever do like a chef thing, like that background, that knowledge will help you a lot.
Yeah, there's a big part of me that just wants to take a class in cooking just in general, because I feel like knowing some of the basics of cooking, even if it's just how like flavors pair with each other, could really just be beneficial. Could really step things up to the next level.
YouTube, dude. Everything's on YouTube now.
I know, right? I need to just start diving in there, because I already use YouTube for like acting stuff, for directing stuff, for like anything I already do, like learning guitar stuff. But just for some reason, I haven't dove into the cooking part of things just yet.
You know, speaking of YouTube, what hasn't been updated in a while is Every Frame of Painting, which I'm a little sad about.
Dude, I love that show, man. That guy is such a talented editor.
Yeah, I don't know what happened to his like monthly or every 2 months, then it became like every like it's been a long time since he's come out with a video.
Well, I know, at least from what I understand, he is a professional editor. So
Oh,
I
he's probably
think,
real busy.
yeah, so I think he like has his own projects to do aside from that are like hired jobs, and then he only does Every Frame of Painting when he has the time to. That was my
That makes
understanding,
sense.
at least, yeah.
Okay.
But I do love that channel a ton, and I've been trying to find other people who do as complex of video essays as he does, and it's tough. People do some good ones, but I feel like he does some of the most thoughtful and comprehensive ones for sure.
His YouTube channel turned me on to The Nerdist, which I'm sure you watch because we've talked about. I think we've talked about some of his stuff in the past, or at least a couple of the ideas.
Yeah, well, I actually used to work for Chris Hardwick, the founder of Nerdist Industries.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so I worked for Comedy Central right out of college, and he has a show on Comedy Central called At Midnight that I used to work for, and he was a really nice dude. I got to show some of my idols to a little room in the Hollywood lot where they would do the podcast. So, like, I got to walk Aziz Ansari over to the podcast. I got to walk.
Oh, wow.
I got to walk Weird Al Yankovic over there. Andrew WK, stuff like that. And, you know, it's always weird, like, you know, hanging with people you really admire, because I wasn't, like, hanging with them, like, shooting the shit. It was like, oh, hey, sir, I'll take you right over. It was, like, very formalized, but it was still cool, like, to get to see them kind of not in a performance environment, I guess.
You needed to have like a camera set up somewhere, so when you walk by, you can just like, or like recording, something you can just like take a frame from it when you two are walking together.
Right.
Maybe tell a funny joke, so then like you guys are like laughing with each other, and you're like, yeah, look how
I
much
know.
fun we are. We're great friends.
Right. Because it's not exactly cool to be like, Mr. Ansari, I've listened to every interview you've ever done.
Yeah, right. And then they go, oh, God.
Oh, God, don't talk
Yeah.
to me. Get away.
Speaking of the Nerdist, he does some interesting movie essays, and we just did Ascended spoilers for. Well, I guess not. This is going to release after that podcast, so we saw Ascended before the Ascended movie review came out by the Nerdist, the Hardwick guy, and I was like, I wonder if we're gonna like talk about the same stuff because I hadn't seen his before.
Oh, Arrival?
And, yeah, Arrival. I keep calling it Ascended
shoot.
for some reason. But
Yeah.
then, so I watched it, and I was really happy that I was like, oh, okay, we talked about completely different stuff.
Oh, good. That is good. Yeah.
And so I could still feel smart and not be like, oh, you got that from somewhere else, huh? And I'm like,
Right.
nope,
Yeah.
that was all us.
No, that's good. That's good. I think the Nerdist podcast is like one of my favorite podcasts, interview based podcasts to listen to. They just like really, they know how to get into the stuff that like fans of people are really interested in, which I think is dope.
I should check it out.
Dude, yeah, it should be on the iTunes store. So
iTunes store.
yeah, even though it's free, it's the store.
Oh, right on.
Like the podcast part of it or whatever. But
Got it.
yeah, I don't know. What's been going on in life? So we've been watching some movies. We're gonna keep watching some more. I've been writing some movies down. But
Nice.
what non-movie related stuff's been going on in life?
Oh, as you know, I got into the improv again. Not again. I got into the improv after we talked about it after one of our podcasts. You know, it was after the 5 centimeters per second podcast. We were kind of
So
like
you're now
winding down.
3 or 4 weeks into it, right?
Something like that. Anyway, the class is coming to a close. We have like about 3 or 2 more classes. Then we have our performance.
Okay.
So it's winding down. But man, I'm having so much fun. I'm really glad I did it.
Dude, yes, that's awesome. Are you gonna try and do another one when you're done with this one?
Yeah, and that's also the cool thing. So we're gonna do so if you see like 5 shows like on certain days, you get $50 off your next class, which is pretty good. So I'm gonna try to binge some shows this week. So
Dude,
tomorrow and Wednesday, watch some improv shows, have a couple chuckles, and then get
dude,
$50 off of my
yes.
next class. So
And the cool thing about
righteous.
watching improv live is like, unless you're watching like the best of the best, you get to see amazing stuff and you get to see stuff that just crashes and burns. So
Hmm.
it's like so cool to see the spectrum of what works and like to, if you know the rules of improv, break down why it didn't work. Like, oh, this person was trying to shine on their own as opposed to like servicing the scene and servicing the
Yeah.
team and stuff. Because those rules are hard to play by sometimes. Because sometimes you just want to be a wacky character and you know you have to
Some
figure out whether or not that serves the team or whether that causes y'all to crash and burn.
I think that's one of the hard things for me to jump into sometimes. I kind
Yeah.
of get stuck in my head when it comes to like do you need to answer that?
No, sorry.
Okay. I get stuck in my head just like what I want to do, or like what I often do is I know I do this. I don't look people in the eye when I'm doing improv because like I'm thinking about what's being said and like what they're doing.
Yeah.
And so then like I'm not like I need that to be more on like a connected level, right? So when we do like exercises like sitting down and like just talking to each other, or like we already have something going in, a character going in, and then we do that scene, it
Yeah.
works fantastically for me. But for me, like yeah, like sometimes it's hard for me to jump in, and I guess that's the hard part of improv is just being able to be really fluid like that.
It is tough, yeah.
And you
It's
took some improv classes too, right? In
I've never taken classes. I was on my improv team in college, or on
oh
my
sweet.
college's improv team in college, and the last 2 years of that, I was the host of the improv team. So, like, for the first 2 years, I was kind of a company member, just learning the rules by practicing them during practice. And
Hmm.
then the last 2 years, I would be in the shows. I would introduce every game. I would do a little bit of stand up at the beginning of each show, and then I would be in like one or two games maximum.
Oh, that's cool. That's a lot of
Yeah,
fun.
it was really fun. That's kind of actually what got me interested in doing stand up, which I started not long after college was over.
Stand up is tough, man.
Oh man, yeah. Dude, so I know we don't necessarily need to be talking about review stuff during this episode, but like, there's a show on HBO that one of my favorite comedians wrote called Crashing, and it just came out this last week, and it's about how shitty it is to be like a starting stand-up. It's about like just going up on stage in front of like six people telling jokes that don't work and then like sleeping on people's couches to like get to a show. And I watched it today for the first time, and it was just delightful, and it spoke to the experience of being just a shitty early days stand up so accurately, dude. It was so great.
Hmm.
Yeah. So you're going to try and see some improv shows. You're going to try and do another class. Does this place you're taking classes have like levels where you ascend and learn like different skills and stuff?
We do. So I don't know if you know a lot about like the structures of improv, because I certainly do not. But so we're like, I don't know if you know who a guy named Armando Diaz is,
Mm-mm.
but he's some dude who like worked for SNL or the UCB, something like that. I don't know. I have no idea.
Okay.
But like our theater or improv group, whatever you call that, like the guys that do the classes,
Yeah.
was started by that guy who like left that scene, created his own like improv school, and it's kind of like it's called like the Armando Diaz experience or whatever like that.
Okay.
So that's like known for like someone will come out, have like a brief monologue like about like something that someone like will say a word, and that might inspire someone to like say, oh, I remember this one time, or oh, so I had a pet, right, for like 2 minutes or a minute, come off, and then so all the improv scenes that come after are based on the monologue, right?
Oh, nice. Okay. So
So it's pretty
funny
interesting.
that you mentioned that because that's the format of one of my very favorite improv shows and probably one of the most famous improv shows at UCB, which is called Ass Cat.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
That's a
during
word that
ASCAT,
gets
they
thrown
have a
around.
celebrity monologist, and they'll go out and they'll say a monologue based on audience suggestion, and then it's just short form improv, scene after scene after scene after scene based on that. Is that what you
I
guys
really
do?
like that. Yeah, exactly.
That's awesome.
It's
Ah,
really fun both to watch and it's really fun to be a part of because not only like when we were doing like I think 2 weeks ago we were just like sitting around in a circle and we're just like we're gonna practice the monologue bit and then we're just like we were bouncing off like monologues with like one another like we each did two. I learned so much like so many interesting things about the people in my class, right?
yeah,
That like I never would have known. You
yeah,
know, that's a really cool way to get to know not only your classmates, but I guess in general with that whole thing, just like the person telling the story in general, which I think is really cool. It's a nice way to kind of connect yourself personally to the performance. It's fun. It's really
definitely,
cool.
dude. That's awesome.
Yeah.
If you enjoy those monologue style, like getting into things stories, I feel like you should check out this guy named Mike Birbiglia. He does stand up, but most of his stand up is like super long form stories, and it's just all about getting to know him and his quirks and his personality and stuff. And like he just knows how to tell, he knows how to frame a
He's a
story
great
super well.
storyteller.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh, yeah, it's insane. Like there's some people who tell great jokes, and there's some people who, you know, maybe say great one-liners. This guy just knows how to make his life sound so interesting, even if I don't relate to a single word he's saying. It's
Was he the
nuts.
dude who I think I remember hearing a s- uh, a bit on This American Life
Yes,
from Mike
he's always
Birbiglia.
on This American Life.
Yeah, and he talked about La Quinta Inn, right? Or La
Yes.
Quinta. Yeah. So I remember that then. Okay, because yesterday it was after improv and like we all got drinks afterwards, which was really nice. It's like the first time. And across the street, like say, oh, I know this cool rooftop bar. One of the girls says, and like it's in this building right here, and this La Quinta Inn. I'm like, oh, La Quinta Inn, like, and it like for me it registered, and I didn't know why at the time, and I was like, oh, it's from that, later I was like, it's that thing from the This American
Yes.
Life, and this finally came back around. I was like, oh, Mike Birbiglia, he's really popular. I was like, oh, dude, hey. So I went to
Dude,
La Quinta Inn yesterday.
heck
Yeah.
yes. Oh man. Yeah, that guy is awesome. Fucking A.
But what
So,
about you and your week coming up, huh? What's going on?
so I've got a lot going on this week actually. So I'm not sure how much of this I can talk about, but so on Thursday I'm directing a Kickstarter video for a local nonprofit here in Washington.
Nice.
They're trying to get some money to award a prize for someone to invent like a tracking technology for insects that can be
Ooh,
planted on an
that's
insect without killing it, and also
that's
can
big money.
survive the length of the insect's life. So that kind of be is going to be interesting. And then I'm not sure I can say the company that I'm doing this with, but on Saturday and Sunday I got a job as a first assistant director on a commercial, which
Oh,
I'm yeah,
dude.
which I'm very excited about because I haven't really gotten a chance to do a lot of film stuff since I've been back in Washington. I'm just very excited to be hopping back into that world right quick.
Bro,
Um,
congrats.
yeah, and then depending on my work schedule, I'm also hopefully going to be doing my first Northwest stand up on Wednesday. So
Oh man, this is a big fucking week coming up.
it's
Holy
going to be a
shit.
busy week. Yeah, I think so. Last night I was kind of hanging out with a friend, and we were talking about life and stuff like that, and I kind of came to the conclusion that rather than distracting myself with surfing the internet or watching TV, I'm really going to try and use as much of my free time towards doing the stuff that I want to be doing as I possibly can. So for me, that personally means like I have a lot of video editing to do. I have a lot of
Hmm.
prep for all my projects to do. I have
Mm-hmm.
a lot of editing of this podcast to still do. I did some today,
Hmm.
but like I have a lot of that to do, and I really would rather like when I'm done with work or when I'm waiting to go on for work, I think I decided that I would much rather spend my energy doing stuff like that than, like, let's say, relaxing or watching TV, because I've been doing the relaxing watching TV during my downtime thing a lot lately,
Mm-hmm.
and I know this is kind of a silly revelation, but I've kind of just come to the conclusion it's like not really that fulfilling. Even if I'm watching something that I really enjoy, uh, TV is kind of a suck because you watch 22 minutes of content and then 8 minutes of commercials for every half hour you watch. Whereas,
Yeah, it's
like,
like one third of it's just crap.
yeah, and it's like, why do that when I have a Netflix account, an HBO Go account, where it's like all amazing content, no commercials,
Mm-hmm.
and I can do that when I'm done doing the stuff I really care about. I don't know. That might maybe sounds like a very banal, minute sort of revelation, but I think it was important for me to have.
No, good for you.
Yeah.
That's it's hard to stick to that routine
It
because
really
I have
is. So I just need to
yeah.
dive into it and see where it goes and not be hard on myself if it doesn't always work perfectly.
I was hitting that like so after like my nightmarish seasonal shifts and kind of like work life,
Yeah.
and then being like unemployed for a while, like after college or like kind of during even, you know what I mean? Like playing games filled the time, and it was kind of like a way to hang out with people, but you get tired of the games too.
Oh,
And I
yeah.
really was craving like for you it was TV, for me it was games, and I was like I wanted to make something. There's like that void in my life that I just
Yeah.
like I just want to make something and be proud of it and kind of like have something to show at the end of the day that is not a fucking work paper
Yeah,
or
exactly.
a
You want to have
what
something
I'm
to
talking
work
about.
on that's not a burden.
Yeah. And so when we started doing this podcast, I was like, oh man, dude, it was so much fun to like kind of learn the editing tricks and like hear back how we review movies, and like I like the way that you do your summaries or like certain things you notice about our speech patterns, right? And you just kind of like, oh, okay, I'm learning a little bit about this. So the next podcast, it kind of gets carried forward. And as you keep editing these and make little changes, like you were learning as you were going to like make the next one even better. And you have something to show for even the last one. And it was just like, it's been like a lot of fun just learning the craft, you know?
Dude, it has been so much fun. I feel like, uh, not to put down our first few, but like, I feel like we've been getting better at it every single
Yeah.
time. And it's not that we necessarily have more substantial stuff to say, it's just that we know, like, we're getting to know what we want out of a movie and
Hmm.
how things either meet or subvert our expectations in both good and bad ways.
Hmm. Now I've heard this, I don't know if you've like showed the podcast to anybody, but I've
I've
heard
told a couple of my friends about it. I'm not sure if they have actually listened to it or not, but I have told a couple people.
when my friends say, "Oh man, if it wasn't an hour or hour 20, like I'd listen to it. It feels like 8 minutes long." But I'm like, dude, but this is not like one of those 8 minute movie review. Here, go see it now things. It's like
Yeah.
we're having a genuine conversation.
We're not
a
promoting
moment
these
yeah.
movies. We're telling
Exactly.
our genuine opinions about them. And our opinions are not only subjective, but they're malleable. They might change over time. So it's like,
Absolutely. And if we were
yeah.
trying to do that whole go see it now, we'd see all the new stuff. But obviously, we're seeing old stuff that we just kind of want to watch. You know, it's
Yeah,
like, oh, you want to check
exactly.
this out? You haven't seen this yet. It's like, oh yeah, I'll see this. I heard good things about this. You
Yeah,
know,
exactly. And so
so
I don't know, I think it's great that way. And
yeah.
another thing is like, and I don't know if you feel this way, but like, I feel like when we did our first podcast, I felt like when I listened back to it, I was like, oh man, I'm a pretentious shithead. And then now when I listen to like the later episodes, I'm like, oh, I'm being more honest about the fact that like, oh, this is just my opinion and this is how I feel. I'm not like trying to state my opinions as fact. I'm just kind of like putting it out there, trying to be as like genuine as I can, and I don't know. I feel like that little amount of growth has been really positive,
It's
you
fun
know.
to hear what what you bring to the table in terms of expertise. I really enjoy because like listening back in the edit and just like the other day at work, like they're giving me crap like, come on, you always like, like you can't go out because you want to watch a movie for your podcast or something like that, like random shit. We just like office talk and like, all right, here, and they throw it on during lunch, and then everyone's like listening to it and like, oh, Paul has a lot of good points. He's you're letting him dominate the conversation though. I'm like, we take turns, just chill. And so like we didn't finish it though, but it was funny. It's like yeah, I agree with him. He has like a lot of interesting things about the technical stuff. I'm like, yeah, he went to film school. It's like, oh, that's why he went to film school. So he sees all the lighting and stuff. And so it was really funny. Like it was like, anyway.
Hey, speaking of which, I do. It's funny that you mentioned what your coworkers said because there is a big part of me that has been, at least in our last few episodes, trying not to like rant as much because I feel like when I start talking about something, I can say my point cogently and then I'll just like restate it in like the wrong way like a bunch of times until it's like, oh, I just said a bunch of gobbledygook that makes no sense. So I've been trying to undo that, but
wow, that's like some harsh self-criticism because when I listen back into edits, I'm like, I'm always like really entertained to hear like, what our, I guess you're right, like what our rants end up being because like you're following the train of thought in like a very cohesive conversation, which is really fun.
Dude, yeah. And by the way, not to be sucking each other's dicks or anything too much, but one thing I've really enjoyed is how when you say a criticism of a movie, oftentimes that'll make me reevaluate the way I feel because I think one thing I love about your criticisms is you're very you're not easy on movies. Like you don't let them have a pass when they kind of do cop-outy shit or like ham-fisted shit. And I don't know. Yeah. I really appreciate that because I sometimes will let things slide because I like something else about the movie so much. And I love that you just don't let shit slide. You're like, nope, that's cheap. They shouldn't have done that. I fucking love that. Dude, well, to our listeners, I, full disclosure, told Anson I could only do this until dinner was ready, and I just got the hand signal for tacos being ready. So I wanted to do something real quick before we ended this. Sure. Anson, did you have anything at all, be it a video game, a band, a movie, that you want to plug before we go?
Yeah. If you guys are interested in video games at all, there's a podcast I like to listen to called it's the Jimquisition podcast. It's interesting. They have different like industry people. You have one guy who writes music. But he also writes like video game music. You have a video games reporter and another like video games like they're both video games reporters. I guess 2 video games reporters, journalists, and a musician, and they have really interesting things to say about the industry and just like the weekly news that goes on. I really enjoy listening to them, and they have like a lot of fun. It's a lot of shit talking banner. It's fun. Paul, what about you? Is there anything cool you want to plug?
I just found out about this band called Snarky Puppy, and they
Great
are
name.
I think 8 to 10 piece jazz/funk/rock and roll band, and I had a absolute blast listening to them. They have this song on YouTube. It's called Something, Family Dinner Volume 1, featuring Layla Hathaway. And it's this singer lady, and she has a gorgeous voice, and at one point in the end of the song, she sings a chord. Like, she does that throat singing stuff, and she uses it to sing 2 notes at one time.
The Mongolian thing?
Yeah, she does that in this jazz song after a bunch of scatting.
Is it the high one or the low one?
She does like a mid-range one. It's absolutely insane. So the band is called Snarky Puppy. The song is called Something, and it's from Family Dinner Volume 1, and it's on YouTube. And it's absolutely gorgeous jazz/funk music. So
you
check
can't
that
bring
out.
up You can't bring up throat singing without letting me show my stuff.
Oh, dude, yeah, tell them about it.
I'm gonna let you, the listeners, hear the majestic Mongolian throat singing.
Oh, it's gorgeous.
Wait, let me try. Okay, ready? I gotta warm up. Like that?
Dude, yeah. Except she does like two like actual notes. So like what you were doing was like more like the traditional Mongolian throat singing where it's
Oh,
like
she sings while changing the whistle?
yeah, so what you were doing was like you
Interesting.
were getting a tone with your throat and then you were getting an overtone with your
With the
mouth
way
or
it
what.
reverberates.
Yeah,
Yes.
exactly. So you got an overtone. Hers, she does it so clearly. It sounds like she's actually singing two notes at one point.
Oh
And you
my
see in the
god.
video like the drummer and the bass player and the guitarist all like freak the fuck out when she does it. It's so cool, man. But anyways, that's my plug. What was your podcast you wanted people to check out again?
The Gymquisition. The
Dude.
Gymquisition is great.
All right, check out the Gymquisition. Check out Snarky Puppy on YouTube. Thanks for
I have it
listening to our
loaded up.
catch-up show.
Yep. Guys,
Hell yeah.
thank you. Enjoy your taco night, Paul.
Oh, I will. Thanks, man. Later, guys.
Later.